we're going to be talking about there's a certain Manchester United player that's been in the headlines quite a bit, and it's not due to off-field controversies. It's actually due to his performances on the pitch. Andre Onana, the new Manchester United number one. I guess the question I'm raising to you guys is he good enough for Manchester United, and is he an able replacement for David De Gea? So, Ayub, I'll let you take this one first.
Be respectful, Ayub.
This goes back. I'm going to sort of talk about cricket a little bit because there is a reason for that. In cricket, about 10, 15 years ago, what they suddenly started doing was wicket keepers, they were focused more on their batting rather than the wicket keeping ability. In a similar vein, keepers now have to have the ball they've got to be great with their feet. And it almost seems that becomes more important than their ability to keep the ball out of the net. So this guy seems to almost be, I don't know. I must confess, I don't know enormous amounts about this keeper, but certainly from what I've seen, he may be quite decent at distribution. He may be quite decent with his feet, but certainly in terms of his goalkeeping ability, I seriously question. I think he's a downgrade in terms of pure goalkeeping ability than from De Gea. And also, there's something which leaves a sour taste in my mouth with what's happened with De Gea, because I think it was quite disgraceful. And I think this guy, he certainly, I think, if he was a great keeper, it would have been fine. I think people almost would have sort of said, well, fine, De Gea's gone. This guy's an improvement. But I think a lot of people are talking about De Gea. I'm intrigued to find out what you think, certainly as a United fan. But from my point of view, I think this guy is certainly not worth 40 million. If United have bought him for his feet, then really that's a ridiculous reason to buy a keeper. I think first and foremost, you've got to be a decent keeper. So from my point of view, I don't think this guy is a great keeper at the moment. I think the first game he looked quite confident. He's a confident character. He's already had issues with, I think, Cameroon, where he doesn't quite sort of listen to the coach. At least that's what I heard.
He's back.
Go on with.
Well, he's back for Cameroon, so I'll let you finish.
He's
back. But you're right. That was one of the issues at the World Cup. Sorry, go on. Yeah.
So that's my concern is how many clubs now are just looking at keepers, how they play with the ball at their feet, rather than actually the goalkeeping, which is really, to me, that's the bread and butter. First and foremost, surely it has to be, is he a really good keeper? So. At the moment, I won't even sort of say the jury's out. I think from what I've seen, I think he's a downgrade on De Gea, and I'm amazed why they let De Gea go and brought in this guy.
Wow. Well, there's a few ways to attack. There's a few ways to attack this. I think we saw last season with David De Gea, United as a team were losing possession far too often in games in which they needed to keep the ball because David De Gea could not play out with his feet. He couldn't play out from the back. He was not good once put under pressure. And in this current era of football, it is vital for your keeper to know how to play out from the back and be comfortable on the ball, especially if you're aspiring to be one of the best teams out there. Because you can't be willy-nilly giving away possession, especially when you have nothing to hit up front. You can't just be handing possession back. And I think a great example of that would be the Brighton semi-final, in which we kept giving Brighton the ball back, and we could not relieve any pressure. And Brighton, they get in someone like Jason Steele, who I believe is Jason, right? Jason Steele. This is no slight to him whatsoever, but I have a few colleagues and friends that remember him from his time at Rovers, and that's the level he was at. But now he's playing out from the back against Brighton because he's got those strengths as opposed to Robert Sanchez at the time, or Robert Roger Sanchez. Wow, I'm getting my name.
You're right.
I'm getting my name. Oh, it's Robert,
right.
Isn't it?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I'm getting my names all wrong. But yeah, so he actually ousted him as the number one. So I think it's pivotal in this day and age for your keeper to be able to play out from the back. I always value my keepers shot stopping ability as well. And to be honest, no matter who we got, realistically, they were going to be a downgrade on De Gea when it came to shot stopping, because his shot stopping was second to none. Even though in the last season it seemed to be tailing off a little, especially with the goals conceded against City in the FA Cup final, they were really poor. But on the whole, as a shot stopper, the guy would win you points. But the flip side was he's awful at playing from the back. With Andre Onana, I think Gary Neville says it best when he says United being Manchester United #1 is the hardest job in world football. It's the most scrutinized job in world football for a player. Because honestly, any single misstep and you have had it is heightened to a different level, which rightly so. United are one of the biggest clubs in the world, so that's completely understandable. I think Onana, with a couple of goals that he's conceded this season, he could have done better with his shot stopping abilities. I think he's getting his positioning and his feet, he's not planting them quite right. But I think we forget last season for Inter Milan, sensational performances throughout the season for them. I'm not just talking about one Champions League final, one game. Throughout the season, he was outstanding for Inter Milan. Ajax before that, I'm pretty sure he was in that team that got to the semi-final against Spurs, right?
Yes.
He was, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was in
one. Yeah,
he was in goal for the.
So he's coming. So he's coming from with good experience as well, especially in Champions League. And his performance in that final last season against Man City was superb. Like, for a keeper to have that much composure and play out through the Man City attack, and we touched on this, I believe, in the last episode, where Man City have got that down to a T, like the press from the front and cutting off all your passes and options. But yet he still managed to play through that. So I think he is 100% the kind of keeper we need. There's no doubt in my mind. I hate that it was him that made the error, because the problem is now there's so many stupid stories already circulating about the guy. We were previewing the match against Bayern Munich in midweek, yet these lot are still asking him about him shouting at Maguire in preseason. It's embarrassing, absolutely embarrassing. But unfortunately, that's the position he's in. If you saw today in the Daily Mail, pathetic newspaper by the way, they had a story about him. He's not only letting in goals, he's now dropping his keys. That's a headline that they genuinely came out with. Absolutely embarrassing. And whoever wrote that should be ashamed. But my God, they must be in desperate need of money if they're doing crap like that with their lives. But Onana, I think he will come good. I actually have no doubt he will come good. The character he shows as well after matches to come out. He went out of his way to request to speak to the media after that Bayern game, which no one does. Not people that make errors. I think Rio Ferdinand was saying himself that he'd actually refuse to do media if he messed up in a game and it cost him. And players, like, you don't want to face the scrutiny if you have made an error. So the character he's shown there, and for him to fully take responsibility, I think that shows the kind of guy he is.
Well, you have to take responsibility. I mean,
but it's easier said than done. No one goes out their way to request media duties to address a mess up they've made. No one does that.
I don't know. I mean, I look at it from the other point of view that Rio Ferdinand, perhaps that's more of a natural reaction. He's so annoyed, so upset, so hurt that he can't face the media. Now, for this guy, I don't know. I mean, it seems quite strange.
When have you heard someone request doing media after making?
No, but that's the thing. See, that's well, that to me is. I mean, I don't know whether it's worrying, but certainly you'd expect the natural reaction is if you've done something which has cost your team a crucial result, you'd almost want to sort of shy away because, in a sense, it means so much that it hurts so much. The guy wants to sort of appear on after the. So I don't know. I don't get that. I don't get that.
Textbook cynicism, that are you?
No, but that's
the guy's actually standing up and taking responsibility, which I honestly that is unbelievably.
He could just do that. He could say that I'm taking responsibility. We all knew and we all know that he was at fault. So in a sense, he's not saying anything that we don't know.
Yeah, but no one does that. That's I think this is the big difference. No one does that. Yeah, you can do it in the dressing room where no one's like there's no cameras on you. There's no like your own teammates aren't going to scrutinize you. They're going to be backing you. But for him to come out and do that, kind of like show his teammates what he's about, I think that's sensational stuff. And for his shot stopping, we've seen. Well, I like Serie A a lot, so I always watch Serie A. Over last season, his shot stopping is good. I think he will definitely come good for me for United, and he's the kind of keeper we need. So I do believe he's the right man.
I mean, you've obviously seen enough of him. I haven't. I've only sort of seen him this season, so therefore it's a very small sample size that I'm looking at. But as a United fan, if you're confident, then I presume that's all that matters.
I was really enjoying that debate. The Johnny Best, or I say Johnny Best, or the wicket keeping analogy that you used, Ayub, I thought was a really interesting one. I think that's a very astute point in terms of the evolution in some sports, right? About the influence and the stress that over time gets played. Like certain skill sets are compromised to try and get the better man. One of my brothers feels very strongly about Johnny Bairstow and his wicket keeping abilities, but that's a conversation for another day. But no, I think it's a very astute point, especially with this evolution in football about goalkeepers needing to play out from the back. I'm probably more in that camp that you have to be proficient, let's say. It's not that one skill set needs to be, if you can get the best of both worlds, then great, right? But that's what all the managers and all the big teams are seeking, right? Somebody who's incredible, and maybe Alisson is probably one of the better ones, but even he had his moments, right? When you think about, that goal that Vinicius Junior scored at Anfield. So, even the best have some moments. I think that where I stand with Onana is, he's a Cameroonian international. He's played in Champions League finals, but in Champions League semi-finals. He's got many caps. He's very experienced. Yes, has he started well for Manchester United? I would say it's been so-so, but then Manchester United have been so-so. And ultimately, if you look at it, last season, David De Gea ending up with 17 clean sheets, yet he was jettisoned out of Old Trafford. There's a reason, because the clean sheets ultimately is a team award. Yes, he plays his part. And he played a big part, and he deserves credit for that. But clearly, Erik ten Hag didn't believe in him. Now, of course, his big salary probably also played a part, as whether or not they were ever going to extend his contract. So there's other variables in there. But I think if you look at the statistics, and I will just lay out a few, in terms of the passing statistics, Onana, he's up there with the best. So his short passing, he's got 100% success rate last season. Alisson and Ederson also had 99%. So short passing, they've got it down to a T. In terms of his just overall completion of passes last season, he had about 82%. Ederson and Alisson were about 85%, so still pretty much in the same ballpark. What's interesting, however, and this is what I mean about defending, is that he only played 24 games last season for Inter Milan in the league, conceding 24 goals, so a goal a game pretty much. To Badge's point, like, they were pretty decent in terms of shot stopping overall. To put it into context, Ederson conceded 32 from 35 games, but yet Ederson played 11 more games than Onana did last season, yet conceded less shots. So 11 more games, yet he conceded 6 less shots on target. And that's basically because City dominate all the games. So Ederson never really gets...
He never really sees anything, really.
Exactly. And when you now bring... And the reason I lay out those stats pretty much is Inter Milan last season conceded 42 goals in Serie A. Manchester United last season, 43. And this season... I know it's a short sample size, Badge, but how many goals are Manchester United on course to concede for this season? Have a guess.
On course?
On course. They conceded 43 last year. Inter conceded 42. But yet this season, if they were to continue on the current run rate, how many goals would they concede?
All right, wait 1 second.
He's going to do some quick math.
Round about 55?
Try 76. They've conceded 10 goals already. 76. How many teams are you? 12. How many teams are you last season conceded more than 76 goals? There's only one.
Leeds.
Yeah, give that boy a cookie. Leeds United, 78 goals. Yeah. And now, are United going to concede 76? Of course not. But what I'm trying to simply point out is this is not a defense or a team that's functioning. And if you're not a functioning team, whether it's from the front, and defending starts from the front in the same way attacking starts from the back, for me, it's just you're not going to keep it out. David De Gea would still be conceding goals left and right with this defense. Yeah, he may have saved the João Pedro one, right? And some maybe one or two others. And to Badge's point about his footing and his footwork, and maybe there's some question marks there, and that's for him to technically sort out. But in the end, if your team is playing as they are, conceding the chances that they are, you can have prime Peter Schmeichel. You're still conceding a ton of goals. It's just is what it is. So
agreed.
I don't really blame him too much. Yes, he would want to start well. Why? Whenever you move to a new club, you want to start well to get the fans on side. And maybe there was a little bit of that in the interview. And I don't mean that in a cynical point of view. He's probably thinking, look, I need to make sure, get the boys on side, get the fans on side. I'm willing to front up, to Badge's point. I'm willing to front up. I'm willing to front up and be held accountable. Ayub, you're right. There was no one else to blame other than himself. And that's okay. That's the goalkeeper's situation, right? Arsenal have been in the news over this week about their goalkeeping situation.
Well. There were he was not the only person to blame for that loss. He was the only person to blame for that goal. For the loss, he was not the only person to blame, but he's the only guy that manned up. So there is a huge difference there.
Yeah, exactly. And it probably would have helped him if it wasn't the first goal. If it was maybe the fourth goal.
That was the key, wasn't it? Because it was the first goal.
Because they actually started very well, but then that happened.
Yeah, exactly, with the Eriksen chance as well. So in the end, same way with Spurs and their title aspirations. I think it's a little too early. I think he'll be fine. But what United need is some A, consistency in selection, and B, I think they're going to give him, they're not going to write him off. He's going to get this full season and then some. I think he'll be fine. I think his passing over time, once United build a consistency in terms of the way their attacking fluency should be, I think you'll start to see the benefits of that. But to Ayub's point, yes, first and foremost, you've got to be able to stop the ball from going in the net. I think you don't get to the level he has without being equally proficient in doing that as well.
Correct. No, agreed. Right, gents, that is all the topics at hand. You know what? Before we actually,
can we get a quick prediction from you, Badge? Burnley United?
No.
Are you?
It'll be a United win. I just can't see Burnley, no matter how bad United are at this moment in time. I just can't see Burnley. 3-1 United.
I fancy United
and a blunder by the keeper for United.
Why would you
gotta go there, huh? You gotta go there, huh? I'm calling an upset, but that's just me. I'm not
what, United winning?
Oh, look at this guy.
Oh, he's got jokes. He's got jokes.
Yeah, he's got jokes. Come on, swing it up.
Well, the biggest joke was Tottenham winning the Champions League. And they're going to win the World Cup as well.
The worst thing is we had Moggy coming on, and before I asked Moggy where he thought Spurs were going to finish, the first thing Moggy said out of his mouth, a podcast which Ayub also participated in, the first thing Moggy said is, "Hang on, is it this season that 5 spots get Champions League qualification?" Yeah, clearly Ayub must.
Yeah. I did speak to him this morning. Maybe that's the reason why.
Oh, you do get carried away. Good stuff.
Good stuff. But you know what? Before we go off the cuff. Do you think David Raya has taken Ramsdale's spot?
Yes.
So he will start this weekend?
Yes.
Oof. Fair play. I'm very interested to see how that plays out, you know.
That's messed my fantasy team up. Because
was Ramsdale your pick?
Well, he was, yeah. I was I guess who my other keeper is in my fantasy Premier League.
Onana.
That clown.
So he's happy to lambast him, but he'll have him in his fantasy Premier League. To be fair, he's good value actually.
He is. But anyways, we digressed. That is all, gents. Thank you for joining us again. Remember, guys, like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Go follow our Twitter at Just Onside Pod, and we will catch you on the next one. In the meantime, don't stray off.